up as an outline. That is the outline of what we're going to go through today. So I'm going to start with choosing a topic, which is what you need to do before you research it. Go through a few things like that. And then once you have the beginnings of a topic, we're going to talk about some general search techniques that you can use anywhere on the internet. Then we're going to talk about, once you find some information, a book or an article or a video or whatever, how you can decide if it's actually good information that would be acceptable for use here in an academic setting. A few different things with that. And then I'm going to talk some specifics about the CWC Library and places that I recommend going for information that are specific to here. So hopefully that all fits in 1 hour. I haven't practiced. We'll see how it goes. All right, so let's talk about choosing a topic. And I'm hoping that what we can do is come up with a topic as a group here today that we can start doing some research on. So the first thing is you want to make sure you pick a topic that's interesting to you. Sometimes you get assigned a topic, but you can always pick some sort of angle that actually interests you. You're going to be putting a bunch of work into it, and it's going to be a lot easier to do that work if you like the topic and you have questions about it and you can think of ideas to research with it and that kind of stuff. So, anyone have an idea? Research in general, something that you want to look into, or maybe something related to one of your classes. Any ideas?
Animal mutations from Chernobyl.
Okay. Okay, keep talking to me.
Like specifically wolf mutations.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
Okay.
I randomly saw it.
Okay. Any? Do other people like that topic? Want to look into it? Give me some nods or some blank stare. Okay, people like it. Okay, great. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to recommend when you're doing research is that you want to start your topic broad and then narrow it later based on what you find. So apparently there is at least one YouTube video on this.
Yes.
It might be hard to find more information, I don't know, but yeah, keep coming in, yeah. Welcome, hello. So let's start maybe a little broader than that. Instead of specifically wolf mutations from radioactive debris in Chernobyl, maybe
just Chernobyl.
Yeah, Chernobyl would be a good start. Okay, so let's, sorry, what else?
Just the whole incident.
Yeah, Chernobyl in general. Okay, we can talk about, what are some other
Fukushima,
related words?
Reactors, nuclear reactor failures.
Okay, nuclear reactor failures. What are some other related words that you might start your research with?
Japan.
Japan. And Chernobyl was in Russia. What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
Radiation.
Radiation. Maybe radiation and health.
Population density in the areas, I guess. Or
Okay, sure.
increased population densities.
Yeah. Population. I'll just put that for now. Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm sorry there's not enough chairs. I'm impressed with the turnout. Okay, what are some other things if you're thinking, okay, I'm interested in Chernobyl, I'm interested in nuclear disasters, I'm interested in how that's impacted animals, maybe I'm interested in how that's impacted people. Any other words that you might think of starting your search with?
We could do like fallout.
Fallout?
After life in the area after.
Yep. Maybe nuclear power.
3 Mile Island.
3 Mile Island. Danger of nuclear power. We can combine these words together. So this is what you want to start with when you do research, is you want to think of a bunch of synonyms that you can use. So nuclear reactor might be one. Maybe nuclear power would be something that has the same meaning that is going to get you different search results. So starting with a bunch of keywords is a really good place to start. So I didn't even put that on here. Nuclear power. And then what we can do is see what we find. And actually, we didn't even put animals on here. Or maybe I deleted it. Animal mutations, birth defects. Oh, I do? Oh, look at that. Okay. So there's a few things to start with. We can add more. But that's what you want to do. And this will not only help you in your mind think of ideas, but it's really going to help your search. Okay, so you've got some keywords. And then the other thing you want to do, and it might be a little bit premature to do this right now before you know what you're going to find, but you want to figure out what your research question is. And if you've got a pretty focused question, it's going to help you figure out what kind of information you're looking for and whether it's actually relevant to you. So just based on what you said, here's one question we could ask is, what are the effects of the, you can see my typing skills, Chernobyl, what the heck?
It's because you're on the spot.
Yeah, I know. Disaster on animals, right? That's a research question. Anyone have an alternate suggestion?
How does nature adapt to radiation fallout?
Yeah, so that one's a little bit broader, which might be a good thing. Radioactive fallout. I don't think I had radioactive on the list of questions, but a little bit different wording can really make a difference. So these are a couple of ideas, and it's okay to change your idea as you discover more things, right? So you want to have a place to start, but don't be locked into that. I've definitely seen people come in and they're like, I want to write my paper on wolves at Chernobyl. And that's awesome if that's really interesting to you, but if you can't find anything, it's going to become really frustrating. And you might discover that there's this huge wealth of resources on the turtles of Chernobyl, and actually that would make a better paper, and it's interesting to you. So be flexible and don't be afraid to change your idea. Okay, so that's choosing a topic. We're going to keep refining it, like I said, as we see what we find. But what we've got now is some questions that can drive us, and we've got some keywords to start with. Okay, so now we're going to start the search. So searching techniques. Okay, who here has done some research for school by just Googling stuff? Yeah, me too. Okay, so that's not a bad place to start, right? I'm not afraid of Google. Okay, so let's Google. What are some of our keywords? Tell me what I can Google.
Chernobyl.
Whoop. Yeah. Effects on animals, Chernobyl. Someone else has Googled this before. Okay, so, this is perfect because we've Googled it and our first result is Wikipedia, which happens all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure you've been told or have this impression that Google and Wikipedia are not the best place to do academic research. Mm-hmm. This is true, but they're not a terrible place to start because you can get some general idea of whether there's information on what you want to research and where you might find it. So you don't want to be using a Wikipedia article as your main source. Why is that?
It's edited by anyone.
Yes, okay, and we're going to get into this when I talk about how to evaluate sources, right? You don't know who wrote it. You don't know what their background is. You don't know what their goals are, whether they know what they're talking about, whether they're trying to actually secretly sell you something, right? Any of those things. Another reason, anyone have any other reasons why Wikipedia might not be the best place to do research?
The information is always changing.
Yeah, exactly. And so in some ways that could mean it's up to date, but you don't actually know what it means. It could mean that somebody just was sabotaging it or something. Mm-hmm. Another thing is that it's not a primary source, right? It's a secondary source, and I'm going to talk more about that. It is just a clearinghouse of places that take you to other information. And so it's a good place to start, and then you can see where the Wikipedia article is getting its information. And those are the types of sources you want to use. So you can scroll down and you'll see at the very bottom of every Wikipedia article is the bibliography. Dang, this is a really long Wikipedia article. The references. So this is referring to, you know, this is in Biology Letters, this one that just caught my eye. That's probably a scientific journal that's going to be the type of information that's more appropriate in an academic setting. Some of these things, davistownmuseum.org, that might be a little bit less scientific, who knows. So the people on Wikipedia get their information from some good places, some bad places, but you are able to judge for yourself when you actually go look at where the information is coming from. So this is an okay place to start. Google is an okay place to start, and then you can start narrowing down, focusing, going to the horse's mouth, the people who actually did the research and came up with the information in the first place. Yeah, there's all sorts of scientific articles here. This one, see this one from Environmental Science and Pollution Research. Yeah. So there's a lot here. So this would be a great place. You can start clicking on these links and looking up those articles on the CWC Library website, which I'm going to show you. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is you can do some searching through our CWC website and through the library. And this is something I really recommend because all the stuff we have in the library is selected to be good information. So you don't have to do quite as much judging of, did some Yahoo write this in the middle of the night as a prank? No, they didn't, if it's come through our library system, and you know you're going to find good information. And one thing you might not know is that what we have on the internet in the library is probably about 10 times as much stuff as books that we have in the library. We partner with a bunch of other libraries across the state to get you access to all of these different journal articles, videos, all kinds of stuff, and so it's an enormous amount of information. So if you haven't used our library website before, this is just the general CWC website. Go to Quick Links here and Library, that's the quickest way to get there. And then this is our library webpage, and I'm going to show you later on a few different search tools, but sort of our big go-to one is OneSearch here. So you can, let's just start by clicking on OneSearch. Okay, and let's try this. Animals, Chernobyl. See what happens. Click search. Okay. So this is what always happens on this because we have so much stuff. You see that we found over 2,000 articles, which is awesome. Probably not all of them are what you're looking for, so you're going to have to refine from there. So a few different tricks are to try different keywords here, right? And that's why we came up with all of these different keywords. So if there's ones, if animals Chernobyl isn't getting you what you want, try something different. Try animals nuclear fallout. Okay, so we're getting a different set of articles here, and I didn't look at the other ones, so I don't know which are better, but you can look through them. Let's go back to Chernobyl because that is pretty specific and seemed to have a lot. Then you can refine your results by using some of these different limiters. So animals, Chernobyl, let's say you want this to be really recent information. You could say, yeah, I want it within the last year. And I really want it in English. And I only want things I can access online, so I only want articles and ebooks. Books and more gives you things that are in the library as well. I didn't explain what OneSearch is. This is our, how would I call it? Our most global search tool that we have in the library. So it searches for books, it searches for articles, it searches for videos, it searches for audiobooks, everything that we have pretty much, it searches in one spot. So that's why you get so many results. So actually limiting it just by those things brought the results down to 65. Okay, so maybe I don't actually care about that, so I'm going to go back. I do care that it's in English because that's what I read. Okay. Okay, so just by limiting it to English, that lowered it by a couple hundred results. Okay, so here I've got an article, Differences in Effects of Radiation on Abundance of Animals in Fukushima and Chernobyl. Huh. Does that sound like it's related to our topic? Okay, so this sounds to me like initially it's not really about like wolf mutations, but it is about the amount of animals is what I'm getting that are there. Okay, so we're going to look at that in just a minute. Let me show you a couple other search techniques. That one was really easy to come up with some stuff. Sometimes it's a little more difficult. So some other ways that you can refine your search, and I'm doing this here on OneSearch, but this works with any search tool. So if you transfer to another school, you can use this on their version of OneSearch. You can use it on different library databases. You can use this on Google. There's ways that you can limit your searches there. These are skills that are applicable really wherever. There's usually always these ways to limit stuff. Playing around with the keywords is helpful no matter where you're searching. And so a couple other ways you can refine it down here is you can limit it just to peer-reviewed journals. And peer-reviewed journals, this is related to my later topic about evaluating information quality. Who knows what peer-reviewed is?
It's been looked over by a number of different experts and people in certain fields to make sure it's accurate and is good enough to be published, not just something that someone threw together and is untrue or...
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's been evaluated by experts specifically in the topic of whatever it's about. So if something's peer-reviewed, you can trust pretty much. You always hear about these crazy scientific scandals, but by and large, you can trust that information. In general, peer-reviewed means articles. And so if you limit your search to peer-reviewed, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of academic, scientific articles that are on pretty specific topics. Generally, books aren't peer-reviewed. Books are still good information. There's other ways to know that the information is good. Same with videos, things like that. So peer-reviewed is a really good standard. It's going to limit the type of resource that you're getting, though. So here on OneSearch, you can just limit it to peer-reviewed, so you know that that's what you're going to get. You can also limit it specifically to full text online. So this particular search tool knows that we're at CWC right now, and it knows which journal articles we have subscriptions to as the CWC library. So which things you can just click on and access them. If you can't just click on it and access it, we have other ways of getting it for you. You can just come and ask us, but these are the things that are really easily accessible. So that's something to note, that you can search just by full text online. You can also click over here, refine by topic, and sometimes that works. Also, sometimes it just gives you ideas for other keywords that you can put into your search. Nuclear accident, I don't think I even had the word accident on here. So that's helpful. Yeah, and you can limit by author. If you have a specific author that you discover in the process of your research has done a lot of really good work on Chernobyl, maybe you just want to see everything that person's written. Or a particular journal. Yeah, here we have more subject terms that are helpful. So those are some general search techniques. Oh, actually, sorry, I have a couple more. You can also, what you're searching for. So here on OneSearch, they call it any, is when you're searching for keywords. So you just put, this is where you probably always want to start, is just put in some keywords here on any. But maybe you know the title. You can search for a title. Or maybe the author. Subject doesn't mean the idea of the article. Subject is what the library has decided the subject is. And so it's really quite limiting to search by subject unless you know what the library not us, but some library out there has decided the subject would be. So I usually start with any. Maybe you want to actually have Chernobyl in the title to make sure that that's exactly what it's about. Let's see what we get when we do that. Oh yeah, look at this. So we've got a book here about Chernobyl when we put that in for the title. Yeah, some different stuff.
What about when you use like a public library? Because I used to use the Denver library. If you have a card, you can go on their databases. Are they going to have a lot of different things from CWC Library, or is it mostly going to be the same?
That's a good question.
Because I know they had they have a pretty broad scope of things that they go through as well. So is it probably good to use like maybe 2 different databases?
If you have access to a couple different ones, that's never a bad idea. In general, we have academic libraries like us have a lot more stuff that you would want for classes, research, that kind of thing. We have a lot of books that are not necessarily things that, and articles that you wouldn't necessarily like sit down in an easy chair and read in your free time because they're more for research. The public library has a lot more of that. They have a lot more novels and pleasure reading, and so in general, I think any academic library is probably going to have more useful resources for research. But that said, they all have different stuff, so it is worth trying multiple libraries. In Wyoming, all of the libraries are connected, and so pretty much what they have at one, we have at the other in terms of online resources. And that's also worth noting in terms of books. If there is a book that you want that we don't have, it's very easy for us to get it for you. If it is from another library in Wyoming, we can get it in 2 to 3 days. We just have an agreement amongst all the libraries that we share like that. If it's from outside Wyoming, also very easy. It takes a little bit longer. So don't be discouraged if you find a resource you think is perfect but we don't have it. We can get it for you. All you have to do is just ask us. Send an email to me or whoever at the library, or come on in if you're on campus and we can get stuff for you.
But not the day before the papers due.
Not the day before the papers due. That's often the hurdle I run up against. I'm like, oh, we can get you that book, and people are like, not in time. So, okay, so a little bit of advanced searching. There are these tricks you can use that's grammar called Boolean Operators. And Boolean operators are words like and, or, not, parentheses, a couple things. You might have heard this before. I just want to really quickly show. So if I put Chernobyl animals, okay, I'm going to get, I don't know, whoa, there's an unexpected error. Okay. Oh, that's because of title. Let's try any. Good idea.
No.
Oh, it worked. Okay, so I've got some results. If I search instead Chernobyl and animals, you don't have to capitalize this, but I'm doing it for emphasis. What that's going to do is get you only articles that have both of those words in it. So it's a little bit more limiting. So I don't want things that are just about Chernobyl or just about animals. I want stuff that has both. So that's what and will get you. Let's see if we get something a little different. That one actually was the same thing. Yeah. All right, and you can do more. So and mutations. Let's see what that brings up. Okay. Yeah, so a little bit more focused result, right? All of these top probably 4 or 5 are ones that we might be interested in for our research. Okay, if you use the word or, okay, right now we're at about 1,000 results. Or Chernobyl or Russia. Ooh, that's going to be too much. Chernobyl or Fukushima. That's going to find us everything that has Chernobyl or Fukushima. They don't have to both be in there. It's going to be one or the other, maybe both. So it's going to make this huge amount of results, 117,000. So that's a way to expand your results. is to add different words and say, I don't care if it's this word or that word or this other word. So that's what or does for you. Not, okay, let's say I'm interested in Chernobyl, but I actually don't care about Fukushima. And there's all these articles that are comparing them, and I don't want those articles. I only want Chernobyl. That's what not does for you. Okay, so now you see I don't have anything about Fukushima in here. That limited, still 44,000, but I could do some of those other techniques to whittle it down. And then the last thing, now this is a little bit database specific, is wildcard letters. And so let's see if I'm looking for, gosh, let me think of a word here. A word here. Okay, so accident, nuclear accident. If I put a asterisk, and this varies by database, a lot of times it's an asterisk, sometimes it's a pound sign, sometimes it's an exclamation point. This one, it's an asterisk. It's going to give me accident, it's going to give me accidental, it's going to give me accidents with an S. Any word that starts with that, it's going to give me. And so a lot of times that's what you're looking for is maybe you want library, librarian, libraries, a word like that, and you just put a little asterisk and it'll give you any word that starts with that. So that's really helpful.
How do you find out what it is? Like what their symbol is?
So what you want to do is look at the help. So they should all have a help. So, and then let's see, wildcard. Nope. Oh yeah, there it is. Searching using wildcard characters. So this one here tells me that I can use an asterisk for a multiple character wildcard search, or a question mark for a single character wildcard search. An asterisk is a pretty common one. So yeah, so those are a couple search techniques.
So you need to leave the E off for culture to get cultural.
Right, because you just want to put the part that's common to all the words. So up to the R is where all those words are the same, and then the asterisk will fill in the rest, which is a pretty neat trick. And a lot of these tricks also work on Google. Most of us don't tend to use them on Google because you don't really need to, but it will work on there, which is kind of cool. So one last thing with the Boolean operators is quotations are really handy. So if you put quotation marks around something, it's going to search for that thing as an exact phrase. So nuclear accident is going to bring up only the phrase nuclear accident, not like nuclear in one place and accident somewhere else. So if you're looking for that specific phrase, or maybe, let's try this, and animal mutation, and we'll put an asterisk so we can get mutation or mutations. Oh, look, it brought us one article. Fitness lost in germline mutations in barn swallows breeding in Chernobyl. All right. That really narrowed it down quick. Yeah, so you get the idea of how this works. And again, one search is a great place to do this, but it'll work anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to move on to types of sources and information quality. So there's another handout there that's applying the CRAB test. And this is a handout from the University of California, or California State at Chico, their libraries. But I really like their acronym, so I'm going to go with it. And so this is a way you find a piece of information, you find it in the library, or maybe you just find it on Google, and you say, is my teacher going to be okay with me using this? Does this count? Is this good information? Is this a place, can I trust this information? So I'm going to walk you through how you might decide that. And this CRAB test is a good sort of way to remember it and a place to start. So, so the first thing you want to do is just look, don't read the thing yet, because that might be a waste of your time. Just look at the introduction, maybe look at the bibliography a little bit, kind of skim the headings. Ask yourself, does this seem like it's on the topic that I care about? Does it seem like it's useful and trustworthy? Like right away, can I tell there's weird spelling errors and it seems strange? So you can just get a general sense of it. And then you're going to ask a few different questions. So the C in CRAP is currency, which means the date. So is this really out of date? And so it depends on what you're researching, what dates are okay, right? Chernobyl happened, gosh, what, 30 years ago at this point? Yeah, okay, so 28 years ago. I think I did that math right. So that's a while ago. Research from 10 years ago might still be relevant, right? In another field, like if you're talking about some kind of internet research, 10 years ago is way out of date. And so you got to judge on your topic. If you're talking about Russian literature in the year 1900, something written in 1950 might still be useful. But you want to get a sense of that. So is it the date okay for what you need it for? Relevance is the information useful to you? So let's look at this article here. Oh, it says no full text. Okay, let's find something that we can get full text on. Okay. Chernobyl. Let's see what comes up. Okay, we'll try this one. Abundance of birds in Fukushima as judged from Chernobyl. So there's a little bit of clicking involved, but you just follow your nose and you'll end up at the full text. It's kind of different with a lot of them. Oh, look, that was really easy. Okay, so we've got this article. Okay, so when was this written? First question. This is from 2012, and it's about comparing Fukushima and Chernobyl. Does that seem like a good date? Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, so then we're going to move on to relevance. Is this useful to you? You're going to have to decide that, right? If what you really care about is mutations and not so much abundance, then this is not the right article for you. But maybe this is what you're looking for. Maybe you're really interested in birds. Maybe you're interested in comparing sort of how bad the Fukushima and Chernobyl's disasters were to each other. Okay, so that, yeah, you have to figure that out for yourself. Okay, so then there's 3 A's. The handout only has 2 A's, but I'm going to add a third one, so pay attention. So the first A is authority. So that's who wrote it, and are they actually an expert? Like, do they have the authority to write this? Okay, so let's look. We've got a ton of different people wrote this, and a lot of times on these scientific papers, oh yeah, look at this. You've got somebody, this person's from a university in France. This person is from a university in Japan. So that seems good since half the article is about Japan. Same thing here. Okay, so just really quick, these people work for universities, which tells me that they're probably scientists. This is published here in a scientific journal that we have in the library. It is definitely peer-reviewed. I think I saw that over here. Peer-reviewed journal. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, these people do know what they're talking about. I trust them. So there's a few other questions on there to try to figure that out. I don't have a copy of that, but yeah, who's the author? Who's the publisher? Is the author qualified? Oh yeah, and here's a great one. Does the URL, which is the web address, tell you anything about the source? So for a scientific article, this is pretty much a slam dunk in terms of trusting the information. But let's say you're getting information off of just some website. Websites aren't bad places for information, but you're gonna have to look at them a little bit more carefully. So a .com website is usually, not always, a website that has something for sale. And so then that's going to make you a little more suspicious. Is the point of this to sell me something, right? A .edu website is usually a school, and a lot of times that information is meant for students, people who are trying to learn stuff. And so it can often be very trustworthy. So there's a few different, you can look at that and kind of ask yourself questions about it. Okay, let's go to accuracy. So yeah,
I just want to say, for my students, Science Direct, if you're getting an article off of there, it is a good source.
Yes.
It's all peer-reviewed.
Yep.
It's all from experts. So I personally, I love learning about all this stuff, but I usually just jump on Science Direct and go there.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed, though, if I'm doing this at home, I will not be able to download that full text PDF unless I'm on campus.
Yep.
So just so you know that. You might find something, and what I do is copy the URL and email it to myself when I get to my office, then I can open it up.
A lot of our library resources, they're all easier to use from on campus. They all work smoothly. They know that you're on campus. It pulls up really easily. Some of them work from off campus if you put in your CWC username and password, and some of them don't. So that is good to know. And I would say that Science Direct, for the topics that Suki's looking at, is going to be awesome. All of our databases are like that. The library databases that we have on whatever subject you're studying are information that we trust, which is why going through the library is good. Okay, a couple other questions you're going to want to ask. Accuracy. So is this factual? And again, especially if you're using something just off the web, you can ask, does this seem like facts? Where did this person get their facts? Ask the same kind of questions that your teachers are asking of you, right? What are their sources? Where did they find this information? Did they just make it up? Is this just opinion? Did they get it from somewhere? Yeah, and then the other A that's not on there is audience. So this will kind of help you answer some of the other questions is, who is this written for? So this article, and I can tell you a lot of scientific journals, are written for other scientists. So that helps you know that, well, it's probably going to be very detailed. It's probably going to assume a certain level of knowledge to begin with. And it's going to be held to a very high standard. If it's written for students, that might be something that's very accessible to you all. That would be great. If it's written for consumers, you want to be suspicious, right? If you're like, oh, I sense that someone is trying to sell me something or convince me of something, right? If it seems like it has a little more of an advocacy or sales sense of it. And that's the last question in the CRAP test is the P. Who paid for this is the question that I'm asking. What is the point of this information? Is this, again, is it commercial? Is it just to provide information? Is it to advocate a viewpoint? And if the goal of it is to advocate a viewpoint or to sell something, it doesn't mean you can't use it, but you do have to be very careful. And you want to take a really critical eye of all of that sources and figure out where they're getting their information and you know, just understand that it has a bias to it. Okay, peer reviewed. I talked about that already. That's something that you know you can trust. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about judging information is primary versus secondary sources, which I mentioned before. So a scientific article like this is a primary source. And what that means is you are getting the information directly from the people who collected it. So these scientists went out and collected a bunch of information on the birds. They counted the bird. I don't know what they did. Their article will tell us, but something like that, right? They created these maps, and they can tell us about how the bird life compares in Fukushima to Chernobyl. If, let's say, we read a news article about this article, that would be a secondary source because the reporter is one step away from the people who actually gathered the information. So a lot of times your teachers, the gold standard is to use primary sources. You want to get it right from the people who collected that information because if you're getting it from a removed source, you don't know if they read it right, right? If a newspaper reporter just reads this and types up their summary, scientists in Japan and Russia have found that bird life in Chernobyl, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you can trust their interpretation of this and maybe you can't. No, it's always best to judge for yourself, which is why in Wikipedia, you want to go to the sources that Wikipedia is using and judge it for yourself and make your own decisions about it. So that's, primary sources are generally better. You're probably going to be using a mix of both though. So just keep in mind are all my sources kind of secondhand gossip type information, or am I getting it right from the person who gathered that? Okay, so that covers types of sources, information quality. And so then the last thing I wanted to talk about is just some specifics of the CWC library, where you can find information through our library. So once again, this is the CWC library website. OneSearch is a great tool. It does give you a lot of results. So you're going to want to practice, play around with that stuff that we played around with before to find the information that's really what you want. A couple other tools that we have here. I'm just going to show you actually first some resources we have about how to do research, the same kind of stuff I'm talking about today, so that you can refer back to it. So we have this research page and research tutorial. We're actually going to change these so the difference is a little clearer, but research tutorial gives you some steps that you can take and some, look, scholarly versus popular periodicals, what's the difference? A few articles on different things, how to use different sources. So there's some things on there. If you go to research, we've got a number of subject guides. And what these are is they're works in progress. So they are not very complete yet, but we are working on adding more to them. So if you are doing research in a particular subject, this can narrow down some places to look. So I'm going to show you the one on careers because I've been doing some work on that. So it'll take you to this web page that we made in the CWC library about careers. So first, click on books, and there's some specific books about how to look for careers that we have in the library. Internet resources. These are some specific, some websites that we have chosen as like pretty good career search websites. And these are some databases that we subscribe to in the library that can give you some information about careers. I'm putting together this right now, some stuff on resumes, cover letters, interviews, YouTube videos. Okay, but what I really want to show you is this tab, Research Skills. This tab is on every one of our subject guides. So you click on the science one, the nursing one, the English one, they all have the same tab. And so there's books about how to do research. There's some research, like step-by-step guides from other libraries. And right now we're working on creating a series of videos on how to do research in the CWC library. So this one is using OneSearch, and it pretty much covers what I talked about earlier in this presentation of walks you through OneSearch as a tool and how to use it. So some of that stuff is here. And then from other libraries, we've put together some stuff on choosing a topic, search tips, and evaluating sources. So for example, if you click on this one, this talks about the Boolean operators that I was going over, sort of what and means versus what or means with some helpful. So that's just one example. I've got some critical evaluation of sources, the kind of stuff I just talked about. So these are the questions that you want to ask, and here's how you can find the answers. So there's a lot of different stuff on there about all the different things that I've talked about today. So these subject guides are going to be a great place for you to do research and learn about how to do research. Okay, so that's one thing that we have on our web page. And once again, they're a little bit complicated to find right now. They're under library, under research, and then these are those subject guides. Okay, another place that you can look, if you go back to library, we've got OneSearch, and then we've also got just our search for our books, and which is called Wildcat. Wildcat is the Wyoming State catalog of books. So when you search on here, you're going to find books that CWC has, the Riverton Library, the Lander Library, all the other community colleges, all the libraries in the state. So if you're not finding something that you want on OneSearch, which just searches our books, you can look a little bit broader. So this works exactly the same way. I'm not going to go through it with you because all of the search things are the same. You can use the Boolean operators, you can search by keywords or author, it's all pretty much the same. This is, again, pretty much specific to books. Okay, and then the really exciting thing is the databases. So what you can see here with the databases is what I was talking about, that we have 10 times more stuff online. I just made up the number 10. It might be 100 times more stuff online. I don't know. A lot more stuff online than we have physically in the library. So let me just scroll here for you. This is a list of all the databases that we subscribe to. Okay, we're still at G. I'm going to go faster. Okay, we have a lot. Anyone have an idea what types of stuff is in the databases? Like, what does that even mean, database?
I think it would depend on the database
Yeah.
and kind of depending on what topic you're searching for.
Yeah, so give me some examples.
Articles.
Articles, a lot of articles is the main thing you're going to find. What else?
Don't you have like the anatomy and physiology? It's like a I don't know what it's called, like a workshop kind of thing where you can do exercises and stuff on it.
Yeah, I don't even know what you call that, but it's like this interactive map of the human body. Yeah, we have that. It's all kinds of stuff. There's videos on here, there's audiobooks, there's electronic books, a lot of different kinds of things. So each one of these is a collection of materials of all that kind of different stuff. And they all have a little bit different focus. So you're like, which database do I use? OneSearch searches almost all of them together. That's what you're getting when you search OneSearch. You can also look under the area that you're looking in. So we're looking probably at science right now with this question about Chernobyl. So now we have all the databases that are science specific. No, did I not click on science? I did. Oh yeah, so this is the one Suki was talking about, Science Direct. So if I click on that, I know that these are specific scholarly journals and books about the physical sciences and engineering. Oh, it clicked too quickly before I could read the rest. Biological sciences, etc. These are all the topics that this covers. So I can search here and get something that's a little more focused. I know it's going to be peer reviewed. I know what I'm getting. Okay. I have a few favorite databases that I'd like to spend just a couple minutes showing you. Okay, so the first one is, databases. So these are really good for everybody in all different types of searches. So if you go to C and you look at Credo reference. So this is kind of an encyclopedia type resource, and it gives you introductory information on a lot of things. So it's a great place to go to first if you're like, I don't know much about this topic, I need something that's really introductory and broad. This is where you'd start. So let's go Chernobyl. Oh, look at this. Okay. So it's got a topic page. So it just tells me like the historical background. What is Chernobyl? There's probably people in this room who don't know that. All right, this is where you go and learn. And so it then also is going to have some other sources that it takes you to. It's got images. So this is a good like beginner type resource, beginning your research. And it gives you some different topics. Radiation sickness, that's one that we didn't have on our list of keywords. We could search for that too. Okay, so Credo's a good one. One that a lot of people like is Films on Demand, because look at this, you can find good information that you don't even have to read. You can just watch the videos. So there's probably a video on Chernobyl, I'm guessing. Oh yeah, look at this. All kinds of stuff on Chernobyl. So you can watch videos about it, and these are designed to be educational. You know the information you're getting is good. I'm going fast because I'm running out of time. Another one that's a good place to start is Opposing Viewpoints. And this is specifically about issues that might have, disagreement. So I don't know if there's probably one on nuclear energy that's kind of a slam dunk. Oh, look, it took us right to this page. So it's going to tell you, again, some sort of basic information about nuclear energy. Whoa. Oh, yeah, the history of it, advantages and disadvantages. Oh, look, 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, Fukushima. So it's like nice background information. And a lot of, on opposing viewpoints, they'll have these sort of opinion sections where they talk about people who are like, nuclear power is great, and other people who say nuclear power is terrible. So if you need to do research on something that has an argumentative focus, this is a really nice place to look. Okay, last thing I'm going to show you is called, what's it called?
Newsbank?
Newsbank. Yes, because I put it on there. That's how I know. Okay. Oh, it's called America's Newspapers, but if you search for Newsbank, you'll find it. Now, this thing is awesome because, again, it has it organized by some hot topics. So it is a really good place. So are opposing viewpoints and Credo and Newsbank are good places to look if you have no idea what you want to research, because they have hot topics already picked out for you. So, like for example, oh look, world politics, Ukraine unrest. This one is focused on newspaper articles, so they have really up-to-date stuff. So they have already created a page on this topic that started like 2 weeks ago. Let's click on it. Oh yeah, we see all these newspaper articles from literally this week, about, actually from today, about the protests in Ukraine. Ooh, we're learning about Syria, Egypt, and so that's pretty neat. And there are some also more.
What did you click on there?
I just clicked on world politics, Ukraine unrest. If you go to hot topics, oh, that's not what I meant to do. If you go to issues in the news is the thing. You'll find they've again picked out a bunch of controversial issues, and you can find a lot of news articles on them and other things. So gay marriage, immigration, medical marijuana, death penalty, the kind of things that, you know, are interesting and controversial. And so let's click on one of them, animal justice. Oh, it just goes there. So it's going to give you a bunch of news articles on that. So that's a pretty neat database that I just discovered the other day. There's all kinds of stuff that is new. All right. So with the last 5 minutes, I'll answer questions. And I do want to say one more thing. CWC Library is on Facebook. If you like us, then you can learn about workshops, other stuff we have going on, when we have new books, that kind of stuff. We're trying to keep it more active.